I feel like it's because we don't have behind the scenes, right? We don't know how many no's they got, how many doors were slammed in their face,
Mhm.
how many times they were on their knees, not praying. Not everyone prays, but the people that
It's
are,
true.
you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
people that are praying and just pleading with God, we don't see the work behind the scenes. And I think, when we compare ourselves to others, right? There are some people who are really living the life that they're talking about. But it's like you say you want their life, but are you willing to put in all the work? I love it for anyone that wants to be an entrepreneur. But that's not me. I like a steady paycheck. Like, I know that my paycheck's coming every 2 weeks, and I like having my businesses on the side. But I know that doing the resumes and connecting with my clients is part of my God given purpose. The same with my job, but I am someone who's solutions driven. So if you come to me with a problem, I start speaking French. How can we fix this problem?
Speaking French.
Speaking French, like, well, we can do this, we can do that, we should do this. And it's not
Uh,
we should do
yes.
anything. Sometimes it's like my husband told me sometimes people just listen. Sometimes people just need you to listen. They don't always need your advice.
Yes.
Sometimes I just listen. I get off the phone and pray and give it to God. Cause like, God, that's your child. That ain't my child. I love this person, but you love them more than I do. And you can do more for them than what I can do. So I'm learning to just pray about it and keep it moving or saying, hey, no, I don't have the capacity.
Turn this up, turn this up.
Your professional development is one of the keys to your career success. When you combine your desire to grow with actionable steps, your journey to success becomes an incredible reality.
Hi, I'm Paul Ferranbi, aka IncrediPaul, and welcome to IncrediPaul Leadership, where I talk to incredible people doing incredible things so we can become the most incredible versions of ourselves. First off, if you're only listening to this episode, I want you to know you could also watch it on YouTube. Regardless if you're listening or watching the show, really appreciate your support. Today, I have the honor of having Ashlie Journet on the show. She's a wife, mom, workpreneur with nearly a decade of experience in talent acquisition and human resources. She is the CEO, love that, of the Candidate Advocate Resume Writing Services and co-founder alongside her husband of the Christian apparel brand, I'm Proof of What God Can Do. So that was just a little bit about you, Ashlie, but how about you introduce yourself the way you would do it?
Awesome. Well, you know what? You nailed that 100%. I
It's
don't
too
know what
good.
else to say. So, I am Ashlie Journet. I am a workpreneur. I work in talent acquisition. I have, like Paul said, about 10 years of experience, almost 10 years of experience of talent acquisition and HR experience. I own a resume writing business, and then I co-own our I'm Proof of What God Can Do Christian brand with my husband. I think that's in a nutshell. I just kind of
Yeah,
repeated what
so
you said, but yeah, in a nutshell.
I did too good of a job. I guess maybe we'll take it a step back. Did you always know you wanted to be in talent acquisition or human resources? Kind of talk me through deciding going along that career path growing up.
No, most people don't know it, but I went to cosmetology school. So I always wanted to braid hair. So I started braiding hair. I started watching my mom at a really young age. People would come over to the house to get their hair braided. She would always braid my hair. By the time I got to like second grade, I knew how to do a little bit with my hair. My mom bought me my first baby doll. Her name was Kenya, and it kind of showed you how to braid their hair and put beads in their hair.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started charging people by the time I was in fifth grade to start braiding their hair. So my dream was to go to cosmetology school, graduate, open a hair salon. And then my husband and he went to barber school for a little while, and we planned to open a barbershop slash hair salon. So that was my goal. I never thought I would be in HR or TA ever, but it's like the best field. I'm so grateful to God because it allows me the opportunity to be a blessing to other people and pour into other people. So I'm grateful for the field that I'm in now.
That's really cool. So it sounds like early on, you and your husband wanted this entrepreneurial thing was
Yep.
inevitable. That you're
Yep.
gonna have a salon. So yeah, we can just pivot to that. with the I know you have the shirt on. For those who are on YouTube, they can see it, but if you're listening, she's got the "I'm proof of what God can do" shirt on. Talk me through what "I'm proof of what God can do" means and why you decided to start an apparel brand around it.
Who? So God actually gave me the vision back in 2025. It just dropped because I was just thinking about my journey. And I'll pivot back to my journey for a little bit. I've shared it on LinkedIn probably about twice, but I did not graduate from high school. So I ended up failing ninth grade, and I'm extremely smart. I just wasn't applying myself. So I didn't graduate high school. So I failed ninth grade. I tried to like make up all of my credits by the time I got to 12th grade, just couldn't make up my credits. They still allowed me to go to prom. I wanted to go to prom. That was the most important thing to me back
Yeah.
then. But I didn't graduate high school in 2006 with the rest of my class. I ended up getting my GED. That was in Pittsburgh, where I didn't graduate. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm originally from. My parents relocated to Dallas, Texas, and I ended up getting my GED in 2007. And after I got my GED, I didn't feel whole. Like it felt weird telling people, I didn't graduate high school. I got my GED. It was just, I don't know. I didn't feel confident. I felt ashamed. So then I went into like community college. I tried medical assisting school. I kept dropping out of these things. I went to cosmetology school. I dropped out of there because I just wanted to braid and they wanted me to color hair and trim and I didn't like it. So I kind of bounced around and realistically, I was lost,
Mm.
So I kind of dibbled and dabbled in different fields. And then once my sons were born in 2012, it's like a light bulb went off in me, and I'm like, "You have to get your stuff together, Ashley." And I ended up getting my associate's degree in 2017, and then I got my bachelor's degree in 2021. I was almost 33 at the time. But when I pivoted into HR in 2017, right after graduating with my associate's degree, I had like my Oprah aha moment. Working at FedEx, I came in contact with so many individuals from high poverty areas that were in similar situations. They thought that they couldn't do anything with their lives, or, some of them didn't graduate high school, some of them didn't go to college, but they had a GED. So I started helping them with their resumes. I had already been writing resumes since I was about 21 for family and friends, but I got my aha moment. I'm like, these people needed an Ashley, like they needed a me. And I started gaining my confidence from there. And then I started speaking to students at at my son's elementary school about prioritizing their education. I went on to speak at colleges and universities to students, and I spoke to some high school students as well. So that I feel like the world needs an Ashley for the other people who haven't graduated high school, who feel like it's too late. It's not too late. I didn't graduate until my early 30s. So once that I'm proof of what God can do, like God just kind of dropped that to me, I was like, aha, I got to run with this. But I didn't run with it. I didn't. I was like, "There's no way I can start a clothing brand and push it." I sat on it for like months and months and months, Paul, and it didn't launch until November of 2025, and I got that in early 2025.
Wow.
I know that was a long story, but that's the
No,
backstory. That's the
no,
backstory of
long
it.
yeah, long stories are perfect for podcasts, I think. So you can take as long as you want, but I love that, and I think I remember seeing that on LinkedIn, like, you sharing your story and just the positivity and just how unashamed you are of showing how much God has been a light in your world and encouraging others in that light, and I think that that's so important, like, because I think right now, like you probably see it just more than anyone else. Like the job market is insane. People are, and just the world in general, there's a lot of stuff going on. People are just trying to
Yeah,
get through, but the energy and the positivity and just the light of God that you bring is needed now more than ever.
I appreciate you. I really want to pour into other people and inspire them. And oftentimes when I'm posting content on LinkedIn, I'm encouraging myself too.
Mm.
I may come off as this really confident person on LinkedIn, but I need a lot of the same things that I'm giving to everyone else. I have self-doubt, I second guess, imposter syndrome kicks in all the time with me. So everything that I'm putting out there for the world, I'm just like everybody else. I need it. I need all of those words of encouragement too, for sure.
So this is a perfect segue because we talked about this before. How we want if we want to talk about like social media, like all of the things that are going on with that, and this podcast is really focused on Gen Z professionals, digital natives. There's
Yeah.
so much stuff going on with social media. It can feel overwhelming at times. And I've talked about taking breaks from social media at times, and you have a very large following on LinkedIn. And I don't even know if you want to talk through like how that happened, how that exploded as well. 'Cause I think we were following before you blew up, and I was like, dang, like
Yeah,
it's just like all over the place now. But I'm just curious because I think a lot of times like people don't see the behind the scenes. You just see like what people are posting, like what even you said, you're encouraging yourself. And I feel the same
yeah,
way. But when I'm posting things, it's a reminder for me too, because I want to make sure that I'm being intentional about what I'm saying to myself and saying to other people, because those are stuff that gets replayed in your mind.
absolutely. 1,000%. Well, okay. How I got to where I'm at now is what you want to know with the following, right? The funny thing is, I never wanted to be on LinkedIn. Never. I had like a MySpace back in the day, and my MySpace was everything. I had a MySpace, I had Facebook for a while, and I think the last time I had been on Facebook was like 2011 before I gave birth to my sons in 2012. So I was off social media from 2011 up to like 2020, maybe
Are you
2021.
serious?
Yeah, I was not on social media. I remember getting a job in 2017 before I pivoted into HR. I was in the apartment leasing. So I got hired at a company, and they said, Ashley, we couldn't find you on social media. We tried to look you up. I'm like, because I'm not. Like, I don't want to be found. I don't want to be found. I don't want people to see me. I didn't want that.
Mm.
Family would say, hey, back in the day, family would be like, oh, we want to see pictures of the boys. I'm like, hey, we can text. I don't want to have all these photos out there. Or my mom, she posts photos of
Yeah.
my kids. But while I was continuing through college, once I got to um, East Carolina University to do my bachelor's, I had a professor who said, you need to create a LinkedIn. It was for an assignment. When I tell you I tried to get out of that assignment, I'm like, I can do this for you. I can write out the LinkedIn profile in Microsoft Word and tell you what I would put. He was
My
like,
gosh,
no, for you to pass
this
my
was
class, you need a
deep.
LinkedIn. Yeah, I didn't want it. So I created it. I let it sit idle for a while. Like I did it for my assignment, didn't do anything with it. Started posting very rarely in like late 2020, just jobs when I worked at FedEx, and I would post jobs in 2021 about recruitment when I pivoted into corporate. Then I started posting more about my resume business. I launched it in 2023. I think at that point I might have had like 3,000 followers up until maybe January 2025, I had 1,000 followers. And now we're looking at March of 2026. I'm just shy of 50,000 followers. It's not something that I try to do. I think it was just me being authentic. I think people want to see content that makes them feel good, that encourages them, motivates them, inspires them. And I think people also want to see content that says, "Hey, me too." Because when I'm talking to someone or I'm reading something, it's comforting to know that someone else has gone through what I have gone through, and also seeing them come out on the other side. So that is what I strive to post about. I want to motivate and inspire others. I am not striving to get 100,000 followers or 50,000 followers. It just came, and it is overwhelming at times. I will not lie. It is. It's very overwhelming at times.
Yeah, do you wanna talk more about that? How are you able to manage all of it? Because it seems like you scaled up fairly quickly from 3,000, like, a couple years before to 50,000.
Yeah.
That's like 20x, something like almost
Well,
20x.
I was at, like, a little over 10,000 at beginning of 2025. Which is
Mm,
shocking to me. I remember I grew to like 17,000 by like April. So April to now, from 17,000 April last year to almost 50,000
wow.
a year later. And I'm just like, I don't know how I got here. It's just a couple posts. Every couple posts, it's like it goes viral and gets out of control. But I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for the following that I have, but it can get overwhelming. I get a lot of DMs from job seekers, you know,
Sure.
and I get it. I've been the job seeker looking for a job, not hearing back, getting ghosted. So I get it. Everyone's in my DMs asking me, you know, Ashley, can you help me find a job? Or here's my resume. And then some people share stories about what they're going through. And I do try to respond when I can, but outside of LinkedIn, I do work a 9 to 5, right? I do own 2 businesses now.
You're
And
a
I'm a
mom.
mom, I'm a wife, you know? So I can't respond to every single thing. So I take breaks because I get overwhelmed. And I've taken breaks that have been a week long. I've taken breaks. My most recent break was 7 weeks long. I was not online from January, I think 13th or 14th until March. I think March 1st, I just popped back up, you know, or a week, maybe the end
Wow.
of April, I'll pop back up on LinkedIn. And I feel like the breaks are very necessary. It removes the distraction because LinkedIn and any social media, not just LinkedIn, I don't want to just put LinkedIn in a bubble, but social media in general, it can become time consuming. It can become overwhelming. I found myself comparing myself to others. You know, you see people doing well, and I'm just like, dang, I'm not there yet. Oh, but we also have to realize, not just for me, but for anyone on social media, you can't compare your reality to someone's social media life. You only see what people want you to see. So my husband and I had a conversation with that, you know, had a conversation about that. And he's like, Ashley, like you can't compare yourself to anybody else. You're right where God needs you to be. You're right on time. My husband he's so confident. He does not compare he don't care what nobody else is doing. He don't care where
That's
they're at in
awesome.
their journey. He is just very confident in himself. So I had to work on myself with that. And I don't know if there's anyone else out there on social media who has been through that, but I'm just being transparent. I have felt it and I've had to get off because I'm like, I can't keep looking at this stuff. I can't keep scrolling. At one point, it starts taking you away from your time with God, social media. So I'm like, I gotta less social media, more God to spend time with God. And it's helped every time I've jumped off to take a break.
Less social media, more time with God. That's a bar
Yep.
right there. Man, I don't know if I handle it the best because sometimes I just like I'll just unplug and I don't even say when I'm leaving or and I've been more intentional lately about like with the IncrediPaul brand, like been more focused on that and have like ambassadors and people that are helping me with social media. So I don't
Yeah.
have to be on it more so with
Yeah.
response or posting things. But I definitely don't get as much DMs and stuff as you probably do, so I think it's more manageable, and I
Yeah.
think early on, I decided that I wanna be visible, I wanna post, but I don't really post more than once a day, and then even if and it might not be the whole work week either, so
Yeah.
I've gone back and forth with my posting schedule about sometimes I was like, "Okay, I wanna post consistently." There was a time I posted consistently, like, I think for, like, a year and a half, I was posting, like, every day, had things scheduled, and then I was like, "Do I really want this? Like, what is my ultimate goal behind social media? Like, what am I
Yeah.
trying to do?" And I just came to a point, I was like, "Yes, I know I have to be present, but at the same time, I don't have to be present all the time."
Yeah.
And I can be selective with what I'm posting, and I realized that if, because I guess I've been more intentional the last year about sharing more of the stuff that I've been going through and struggles and being
Yeah.
trying to be more authentic,
Yeah.
but I am very much it's funny that I post so much now because 'cause I'm very much like a private person and
Yeah.
didn't for the longest time, I have a friend I've known for, like, 15 years. They didn't even know that I had a business for like the first 2 years, and then the nonprofit, and I was just casually talking about it, and they're like, "How? Like what? Like we don't know about this. Like you need to talk about this more." I was like, "Well, like the people that I'm doing it with, they know." So I just come to a point where it's like when I don't share about the things I'm doing, like I'm not able to glorify God in a sense because
Yeah.
everything that I'm doing and is working through me is not because of me, it's because of God. So that's the
Yeah.
posture I try to keep is that when I'm posting something, like I might post it for me or I might post
Yeah.
it to showcase the glory of God. And so that's like the lens I try to work through. So sometimes I'm like, okay, like, I think I'm good for now, but other times, like, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be more consistent in the last
Yeah.
year plus now with having a team and focusing more on the IncrediPaul brand because
Yeah.
between the IncrediPaul brand and then the nonprofit, working full time, and I was doing career coaching for a while last year in addition. So I was like
Yeah.
balancing all those things.
Love that you when you say you're posting, you say, am I doing it for me or am I doing it to glorify God? I love that. And that's a good way to look at it when you're posting content. And like you said, everything that you have, everything that you're doing, it all came from God. Like we all have this God-given talent. And one thing that I realized pivoting back to my journey about like not graduating, it was never about me, right? Never about me. It's about serving others and being able to help others. So I try to look like when I'm on LinkedIn as well, I don't post a lot about my business. I don't even know if some people may not even know I'm a resume writer, right? You don't really see any content about my clients or I'm offering this service. I really want to just show up because it's not about Ashley. I want to show up and motivate and inspire people. Like that's what I want to do. And people have told me that I'm very easy to talk to. I'm very encouraging. And that's all God. That's not me. That's God speaking through me when I'm talking to people. So I love what you said. Am I doing this to glorify God or am I doing this for myself? So I am going to think of that every time I start, I write a post for LinkedIn. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's definitely a process because I will tell you that there's not every single post I make that is
Yeah.
glorifying God. Like, I would be lying if I said that. It's just something I have to constantly remind myself of because, like, you were talking about, like, comparing yourself to different people or different people that have huge followings. And
Yeah.
then for a long time, I was like, okay, I want to do this. I want to grow the business, like, exit my 9 to 5. But then I was like, do I actually want to do that? Or do I want to be where God wants me to be and thrive where
Yeah.
He wants? Because if I just do what I want, like, maybe I might thrive for everyone else's scene, but am I truly happy? And
Yeah.
so I've had to take a step back and like, okay, I say, let me not try to rush things. Cause I think like from podcasts and different interviews, you see all these founders, whether it's the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jeff Bezos, like all these people that they rose up very quickly. And then a lot of them will say like they wish they had enjoyed the journey more because they reach a point and they just like they didn't enjoy it, and I don't want to look back and say like, "Okay, I reached these goals," but then I'm
Yeah.
just seeking more and more goals, and then
Yeah.
I'm never happy because I just keep moving the marker.
I would say, and when we see people where it looks like they move fast, that's because I feel like it's because we don't have behind the scenes,
Mm.
right? We don't know how many no's they got, how many doors were slammed in their face,
Mhm.
how many times they were on their knees, not praying. Not everyone prays, but the people that
It's
are,
true.
you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
people that are praying and just pleading with God, we don't see the work behind the scenes. And I think when we compare ourselves to others, right? There are some people who are really living the life that they're talking about. But it's
Mhm.
like you say you want their life, but are you willing to put in all the work? You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to put all the work? You don't even know the work that they put in to get here. Are you willing to put that in because you're blindly saying you're willing Like when you want to take on someone else's success or you're seeing someone else be successful, you're willingly saying that, hey, I want their success and everything that came with it.
Mhm.
And if we would see behind the scenes, we'd be like, forget it, God, tap me out. I don't want it. Forget it. Take me back to my life. So I try to be very careful and intentional about that. And I will say I had a conversation with my friend April Little this was weeks ago, and I was talking to her about a similar thing, comparing, and she just really poured into me about helping me recognize who I am because I'm really good at helping people figure out who they are and talking them up and telling them how amazing they are, but I forget all of the amazing things that I do. It's hard for me. Like if
Mm.
someone asks me like, what are your achievements? Like I write my achievements down. I have a brag book, but if you just ask me personally outside of work, I write everything down for work. But if you ask me what I've done in the last year, I kind of downplay those things because I'm like, okay, but what have I done lately? Like I'm focused on what I'm doing now. I don't look at the fact that yes, I was a career coach last year. I spoke on a panel last year. I did 2 podcasts last year. I launched a business last year. I don't look at those things. I just kind of look at right now. And she really poured into me to help me realize that Ashlie, you are that girl too. So I'm grateful to have friends like that around me. And Amelia, I think you're connected with Amelia.
Leah Badua?
Yes, on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Yes,
Yeah, I love
she
Amer
is a friend that constantly pours into me as well. Like she knows the real Ashley. Like what people see on LinkedIn and me and her, we can pick up the phone and she's the friend that's going to pray for you. And right on the
That's
phone, we
good.
were on a conversation one day. She was like, "Can I pray for you?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." Like,
That's
please
good.
do pray for me because we all go through things, and it's a struggle a lot of times. But that's not what everyone sees. They see what you want them to see.
Yeah, no, that's so true. It's like social media, like more and more people are showing more of their lives, but the thing is, like, you're never gonna see everyone's whole picture of
Yeah,
their life. I think
yeah.
it's important to put it in perspective, and I'm glad you shouted them out. You said April Little and Amelia Badua, and yeah, Amelia's been on the podcast. She was on last year,
Yep.
and I think it's really important to have those people in your corner who are going to uplift you when you can't hold your hands up. Like I'm even thinking about like is it Moses or Joshua, like when they were this is like a biblical
When they
reference.
were
So
in that
maybe you
war,
but
right?
when they were fighting and they
Yeah,
had
he had to keep
his
his
hands
hands up, but they
they
had
had
to
to
hold
keep
him up for him.
they had to
Yep,
hold his hands up for him. And
yep,
I think that's a perfect picture is that yes, we have God, but God also uses people
yeah,
sometimes, and this is something I had to learn, especially in the last couple of years, which I've talked about on the podcast, Navigating Divorce, is like, yes, like you can do things on your own and God is with you, but God uses people, God uses therapy, God uses all these different things
yeah.
to make sure that you're able to come out on top. And then that is just when you're able to go through difficult times, like what you're mentioning, like not even graduating high school and like transitioning to different careers and come out on top and people look to you like that just points to the goodness and glory of God and it's so powerful.
You know what? And I say this when you say that, like the glory of God, I have people reach out to me to write their resumes all the time. I haven't taken any clients. I will not probably take clients until April or May. But I haven't taken any this year. But when people come to me, I would say in 2025, about 90% of them, when they reached out to me, they're like, "Hey, Ashley, I've been following you on LinkedIn. I feel like God aligned me with you. God told me to work with you." And I don't even post about resumes. I don't
I don't
like,
think I've ever
I
seen
don't
you
talk
post
about it.
that.
No, I don't think I have since probably I don't think I have maybe since probably early 2025 or late 2024. I don't talk about it. So I know that's God. And people are like, "Ashley, God aligned me with you." And then I get on a call with the client. We're talking about God and how good God is. Uh,
um
and I'm just like, "God, you are so good." And there's so many times I told my husband, I'm just like, do I still want to do this resume writing thing? And I'm like, because it's time consuming with working. And he was like, people would ask me, do you want to leave your 9 to 5 and you can make that, you can be an entrepreneur? I love it for anyone that wants to be an entrepreneur, but that's not me. I
Yeah.
like a steady paycheck. Like, I know that
Mhm.
my paycheck's coming every 2 weeks, and I like having my businesses on the side. But I know that doing the resumes and connecting with my clients is part of my God given purpose. The same with my job. When people ask me, do you like your job? I love my job. Do I get stressed out? Yes. Do I want to tap out and throw the towel in and be like, man, forget this place? Yes, I do. But when I tell you I love talking to candidates, we talk about God with some of them candidates, a lot of the candidates, we talk about God and I let them bring it up. I don't want to put
Mm.
anything on someone in a conversation. I have people, I had one candidate who was very, you can tell that their confidence wasn't really strong. And they were downplaying themselves during the phone screen. And I'm like, no, no, no. This phone screen was about supposed to be like 20, 25 minutes. We talked for an hour.
Wow.
I went through their resume step by step. I talked them up. I built their confidence. At the end of that call, they said, Ashlie, I needed this. They walked into that interview like God sent them in there. They got hired
Wow.
because I was able to help them build their confidence. So when I say I love my job, I love the impact that I'm able to make because of God, because of my God-given talent. I love it. I don't know if there's nothing else I want to do. I don't want to be outside of TA. Like, I truly love what I do, and I know it's in alignment with God. I know it is.
That's really powerful that you, because I think a lot of people aren't at that place where they love their 9 to 5. And yes, like there can be stress and stuff that happens.
Yeah,
Like we all have those days, but then also loving the bit. I think people are trying to do one or the other. And I think I'm right there with you because I think a lot of times people ask me all the time because they see all this stuff I'm posting about speaking and podcast, all this stuff. They're like, "This is what you want to do long term." I'm like, and for the longest time, I was like, because people kept asking me, I was like, "Yeah, maybe I should be doing this long term." But I came to a realization, like really at the end of last year, is like God has positioned me in this company that I work at, and I really enjoy it. It is a culture that I didn't know could exist in manufacturing, and I'm really thriving and being able to have an impact there, but also
yeah,
have an impact outside. I just come to a point where it's like, I love what I'm doing in my 9 to 5. I also love what I'm doing outside of my 9 to 5. And
yeah,
even it's not always the case that even like my manager and the people on my team, they recognize what I'm doing and they see the value in it and that it's not a distraction. So they encourage it as well.
yeah,
So I'm at the point where it's like I can do both. Like if something happens either way, like God's like leading more to focus on the 9 to 5 or focus more on the stuff I do outside, I can go in that direction. I think I'm finally at a point where I'm like, okay, God, I'm taking my foot off the gas. You lead me where you want it to go. Like I'll have a vision for on both sides on where I want it to go. But at the end of the day, you're going to direct my path. And so that was more a recent revelation for me because up until end of last year, I was like, okay, I'm just full force. I'm going to go into entrepreneurship. But think about it long term. I was like, I like the stuff I'm doing, but do I actually want to manage my own business? I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. And it's okay to not know.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm like, no. But what if God in the future wants me to be an entrepreneur? I want whatever, and it's something I've been praying. I have a prayer board in my office and an altar that I sit and pray, and I'm like, God, whatever it is that you want for me, I want for me, and that's easier said than done. But I ask God to change my heart and to shift my vision to align with His because I don't always see things the way that God sees them, but I always ask God to help me to see people, things, and situations the way that He does, because as humans, our vision is skewed.
Mm,
Our vision could definitely be skewed for sure. But I know one thing when it comes to my business, even when I want to tap out at work, I've wanted to tap out. I see God working with in both of them. I see him, and you have to invite God in. You have to invite God into these places. And I see God moving and working within both of them. Now, the third one, I'm proof of what God can do. I didn't listen to God right away, and I'm still trusting God because I'm still in the beginning phase of launching. I'm like, God, how do I expand? I just started Instagram, and I'm like, another social media platform to figure out.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about Instagram. I know nothing. I know nothing about Instagram. So I'm just trying to maneuver through there. And I'm just like, every day, I'm like, God, this brand is not mine. It was not my idea. It wasn't. So please align me with the people that can help. Like I'm no big fashion person. I can wear olive green, browns, blacks, jeans, and hoodies, and I'm cool in Timbs. I love Timberland boots. I'm good. I'm no fashion designer. Like, God, I need you to really hold my hand through this. This is your plan. This was never mine. So that's where I'm at now, trying to trust him with that. I'm good on the career front, but God, I need you to help me with this brand that you gave me because I don't know what to do. And it's okay not to have it together. It's okay to not know. And I'm grateful that you even just shared that you're like, I don't know yet. We're still trying to navigate things. I'm late 30s. I'm 38. I'll be 39 this year. I'm still trying to figure things out at 38, you know?
Yeah, and it's still early, and I think that's the whole social media especially, but everyone is at their own pace, and I think sometimes it comes back to what we said, like comparison, and you see people who will launch something, and then after a few months, they like exit their at least seemingly after a few months, maybe they're exiting their career, they're doing this stuff, they're blowing up,
Like, I got
and
2 million in sales in 6 months.
yeah,
I'm just like, what am
yeah,
I
like
doing wrong?
curated, buy my course, all this different stuff. And it's funny to me, and I'm realizing more and more, especially on the speaking side of things, and I'm sure it's the same on the other side, is that there are a lot of people that are doing very well that are
Yeah.
not on social media at all, or have very
Yes.
little social media followings.
Yep.
I know, especially on the speak side, they're trying to build it up now. And I think and then the people who are seemingly doing really well are not doing as well as you think they are, but they're putting on this facade, or they're borrowing a lot of money, or they owe people a lot of money, like all these different things. You just don't really know until you know them. And then
Yep.
even if they are doing well, there's just being on social media. I think there's been more and more studies about like consistent social media use, like it affects your mental health.
It does.
It's just people are just so unhappy. They have all these things, but they're still unhappy. So it's like you get to a point,
Yeah.
it's like, do you want the fame? Do you want the fortune? Or do you really truly want to be happy?
Yep. You know, and I feel like you won't have full peace. Until you are fully in alignment with God. That is something only God can give. And there has been seasons in my life where I have had unexplainable peace. Like, I couldn't explain it to you, and it was not a great situation that I was, going through at the time. But I'm like, God, how do I have this much peace? I should be losing my mind. But I got this peace. Like, someone else in my shoes will be losing their freaking mind, but I have so much peace. And that's not something that the world can give. And there's something I have. I'm looking to the side because I have this on my whiteboard. It's Galatians 6:4-5. It says, each person should judge his own actions and not compare himself with others. Then he can be proud of what he himself has done. Each person must be responsible for himself. So I keep that on my whiteboard to look at. I can't compare myself to other people. There's only one Ashlie. I can be Ashlie better than I can be anyone else. There's no one that can duplicate Ashlie. There's no one that can do what I do the way that I do it, and God has a specific place for me. Even with resume writing, when I launched my business, because I did it for free for years, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many writers out here. Like, nobody's going to come to me and work with me. But I have my own secret sauce, the service that I offer and the things that I have to offer, no one else, no other writer can give it can give what I give. And now they all have their own secret sauce and they all have their clients that love them, but nobody can give what Ashlie gives. And that's something that I have to keep in the back of my head. There's only one Ashlie. Ashlie, no one can do what you do. God is not going to give my assignment to somebody else. He's going to leave it there. He's just waiting for me. He's never going to give it to somebody else. It's there waiting for me, but we have to stop looking at other people to fully tap into everything that God has for you. So I'm really in a self-care journey where I'm spending time with myself, more time with myself, but I can't have self-care without God. I can't have a self-care journey without God. So I have God in that as well, reading and spending time with him before I start my day. And it just feels so much better. So I'm really getting to know who Ashlie is and less of who everybody else is out there. So I'm in a season where I'm like, I can't look at everyone else. It's like tunnel vision. I can't look at no one else. My peripherals are not looking at anyone else out there in this season.
Yeah, so that's a good season. I think I'm right there with you, and I think I go back and forth on it at times, but really trying to focus in and really understand who I am and not
Yeah.
what other people are telling me that I am.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's so many different things, and I'll get distracted. Like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and like, no, I need to just stay planted.
Yeah. And when you talk to other people, they can have you trying things that you really never wanted to try. Like people will give you their ideas and it can kind of skew your vision. You're like, oh, well, maybe I should do this or maybe I should try that. I'm like, no, that's not what God told you what you should be doing. So don't be listening to everyone else. But I also like the point that you said God puts people in your corner and in your life to help. I'm reading this book called Bamboozled by Jesus. It's a really good book. So I've been asking God, I'm like, just speak to me and God, I want you to speak to me and while I'm reading this book, while I'm reading your word. And I don't know if it was that book or I was reading somewhere else, but it said, take serious every person that you encounter, that you come in contact with. So I've really been asking God for discernment to know who is for me and who's against me. Because you can have people smiling in your face, and they're no good for you, right? The devil provides opportunities just like God does. So God, I
Exactly.
want the discernment to know who's with me, who's not with me. And some people want what you have. I heard Clarissa Shields. I seen a video. She was saying some people want what you have, not what you can offer them, not what you give them. So some people that are around you too, they don't want what you can offer them. They want what you have. They want to take what you have. So everyone out here isn't rooting for you. And that's something that I have to work on. I want that discernment because I used to be very easily trusting of people. So it's kind of hard for me to let people in because you don't know. So I'm really like, God, I need you to work with me. When you send me the right person, God, I need to know and I need you to give me a sign, like bop me in my head and tell me that this is the person. Because I'm not going to know because I used to be very trusting and I'm not that trusting person anymore. I just want to make sure it's the right people and not the wrong people, you know?
Yeah. That's so important, like, having that discernment and just I think it's like having the right boundaries too, is just something I've
Yeah.
been talked about more and more, and that's something really I've had to develop in the last couple of years, and I think for me, it was what like, I had boundaries around people I didn't know, but once I let people in, it was like, there's no boundaries. It's like, it's fine. And then
Yeah.
really understanding that just because like people are in like your circle, that doesn't mean that your boundaries go down. Those boundaries are there for you and you
Yeah.
understand what that is. And I've talked about being a recovering people pleaser. And so
Yep.
sometimes like I will purposely just say no, even though I want to do it,
Yep.
because I need them to know that I'm just not always gonna do it just because they ask. And it's better. I'm better at it now. I thought at the beginning it was like, but I could do it, but I was like, should I do it? Should I not? I don't know. It's definitely be a journey, but I think having those boundaries, understanding what your boundaries look like, because other
Yeah.
people will tell you what your boundaries should look like.
Yeah.
And then if people are bold enough, they will get angry at you for having those boundaries. And then that
Yep.
really sets your boundaries.
Yep. And they're like, "Well, I'm your friend or I'm your family."
Mhm.
And I think one thing, I'm working with my therapist. So I do have a therapist that I go to. Um, God gives them a God-given talent to lead you as well, so or to counsel you. So I have a therapist, and we talked about boundaries. And one thing that a couple months ago when I was speaking on a panel, we talked about invisible boundaries, myself included. I've been frustrated with people for going against boundaries that I never told them about. I expected them to already know, right? Because it was hard for me to set the boundaries. Like, they're in my head, and I'm like, they should automatically know that I don't want to do
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
But people aren't going to know unless you tell them. So that's one thing I've been working on with my therapist, learning to say no. Um, and you don't have to over explain your no. Cause I'm usually like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I can do that. And God did not create us to be everything for everyone, but I am someone who's solutions driven. So if you come to me with a problem, I start speaking French. How can we fix this problem?
Speaking French.
Yeah, speaking French, like, well, we can
Uh,
do this, we can do that, we should do this. And it's not we should do
yes.
anything. Sometimes it's like my husband told me, sometimes people just listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just
Mhm.
need you to listen. They don't always need your advice.
Yes.
Sometimes I just listen. I get off the phone and pray and give it to God. Cause like, God, that's
Mhm.
your child. That ain't my
Mhm.
child. I love this person, but you love them more than I do. And you can do more for them than what I can do. So I'm learning
Mhm.
to just pray about it and keep it moving, or saying, hey, no, I don't have the capacity. No, I'm tired. Because those are real things. I used to say yes, even though I was tired. Yes, even though I was burnt out. And a lot of people you don't see it because I mask it easily, but I have been burnt out, like crying in tears because I keep saying yes. And the person who is just drained at the end of the day is me. Like, I have been to the point where my mental gas tank was on E. And at one point I was running on fumes because I'm saying yes to everybody else and not yes to me. So now it's like I'm being more selective with my yeses, and I'm handing out those no's like trick or treat candy. Everybody can get a no.
You
Everybody
get
can
it.
get a
You
no.
get it now.
You
All
get a
get
no. You get
no.
a no. Everybody get a no. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's really good. You know what, you talk about the invisible boundaries. I think that happens so often, and when I coach people on it, it's like there's one thing when people are crossing the boundary you set, but another when you haven't set that boundary. And I think it's also harder for us. It seems like you're kind of in the people pleasing camp as well.
Yeah.
Is that when you've been doing it for so long, like it's gonna take a while for people to realize that you are actually like, oh, like Ashley or Paul, you like when you're saying no, like this is actually a real no. This is not like a
Yeah.
wait until later type thing. So I like something I've been more intentional about, like when I'm meeting new people, especially like being in a new city, is like set those boundaries early because these people don't know me yet. So set
Yep.
it early and make sure they understand those boundaries and I hold to those boundaries
Yep.
so that it's easier. It's a lot easier if you set it earlier. Like when you've been doing something for years, like it might not, well, I don't say it won't ever change, but it's going to take a lot more effort. And then I
Hmm.
also have to be mindful of my energy, like how much time I'm spending with those people because if they're always like every time I'm with them, they're always trying to push my boundaries. There's been some people I had to like I won't say I cut them off, but I would just say no because I know it's gonna lead me to you pushing my
Yeah.
boundaries and it just continues to drain me.
But I love that you're paying attention to your feelings. Like, like I get anxious. Like, I can feel like this tightness in my chest, and I'm starting
Yes.
to pay attention to how my body is. And I'm like, nope. I don't want to do that, and I feel like even if you have a relationship with people that you've been talking to, you will truly know how much they respect you when you tell them no. Like, I
Yeah.
get this is how we were doing it before, but I'm telling you now, like, I'm not doing it. No. And if they can't respect it, I'm like, they can keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
That's family, friends, everybody, because and I also realize this, when you set the boundary, and I'm learning this is, again, I'm a work in progress.
Me
When you
too.
set the boundary, stick with it.
Mhm.
because even if that person, even if you said no, I have found myself, even though I've said no, still like, oh, I can just help them a little bit. And I'm like, Ashley, if you don't respect your boundary, how are you expecting someone else to do it if you can't respect the boundary you yourself have set? So that's something I had to like say to myself, have that conversation with myself, you know?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's tough.
It is
It's definitely
very.
tough.
It's a tough thing. This was a great conversation. Like this was one of the most laid back conversations I've had on the podcast. Like I enjoyed this so much.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for taking the time because I know, like, between being a wife, a mother, running multiple businesses, like, there's so many things you can be doing, and I appreciate you making time to be on the show.
Well, I appreciate you for even reaching out to me. One of the things I prayed for, and I'm seeing it happen, I asked God for more opportunities to speak, whether that come through, podcast, events, whatever. One of our first things I spoke at a university in 2024 to a group of students, first paid speaking engagement, which was awesome. I'm like, God, I want more of this. And then I got to speak on the panel. As you and I were speaking, we were both coaches at separate times for the Colors of Her Success, speaking on that
Yes.
panel. Like, that was everything. I went to DC last year and spoke on a panel and then being on podcasts. I'm like, God, I just want to speak and encourage people. And so it's a blessing. I actually wrote your podcast down in my prayer journal because that's an answered prayer I've been asking God for in
Are you
2026.
serious?
More opportunities to speak. Yeah, your name is written down. Yeah, it
Wow.
is. Like, I'm like, just another opportunity to speak, God. So that's what I want to do more of. So I appreciate you for putting me on this platform to be on your podcast because this was an answered prayer. So I appreciate you.
Oh, I had no idea. Look at God. That
Won't he do it? Yes.
Yeah, won't he do it? That's amazing for sure. Yeah, I know that God's gonna do it, and I'm sure that I'll keep that in mind that you wanted to do that because I'm connected with a lot of other podcasters and people in the speaking space. So, like,
Thank you.
we'll talk more about that and see how we can get you on more platforms because people need to hear more of your voice.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate you so much. And thank you for your support, even supporting the Proof of What God Can Do brand and just all your support on
Absolutely.
LinkedIn is greatly appreciated. And I just pray that God continues to bless your business beyond what you could even imagine. And you find clarity on what you want to do. Well, what God
Mhm.
wants you to do
What
with your
God
with
wants
your
you to
business.
do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I appreciate the prayers. Is there anything else about you, your business, or anything you want to leave with the audience as we wrap things up?
Not really. I guess for me, for all the people that it's not even about me right now. It's really for a lot of people that are discouraged out there right now, and you're comparing yourself to somebody else, or things don't look like they're going up. If you woke up this morning and you got a pulse, if you are not dead, God is not done with you. Your story is not over. He's still writing your story. And that's how we'll close out. I don't even need to talk about me. God is going to bring people to my businesses regardless. So I just want to encourage everybody else.
Yeah, if you're not dead, God's not done. That's good. I do
Yes.
want you to share how people can stay connected with you, whether it's on LinkedIn or your website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ashlie Journet, you can find me Ashlie Journet, Journet, Journet on LinkedIn. And then my website is candidateadvocate.com. I am not taking clients at the moment, but I do have a wait list on my website in case you want to join that website or join that wait list. So I do offer resume writing, resume reviews, and then LinkedIn optimizations as well.
So thanks for sharing that. And I know people got something from your story. Your life is the message on your t-shirt of I'm proof of what God can do. I think
Thank you.
it's just so critical that people realize that setbacks or roadblocks are not the end. I think it's
Yeah.
so easy to think that when you're in a tough spot or difficult situation that it's over and it's done. Your story, my story, in some cases, so many people's stories. I think it's important that we don't look at ourselves only. If they're people of faith, lean on God, reach out to people, be intentional about not isolating yourself. It's so easy to do in this world to just retreat to yourself and focus on all the negative instead of what God can do.
Well, you know what I will say is this, if you people get into your Bible, you see all these people have setbacks. Right now, I'm watching a three-part series called The Faithful. It came on TV. The last one's coming on this Sunday, but it talks to you about Sarai, aka Sarah, and Abram, aka
Mm,
Abraham, how God, he told Abram at the time that Sarah was going to give him a son, right? She didn't have that baby until 90, but at the end of the day, she doubted God, and then she told, Abram to sleep with her slave girl, uh, Hagar, and she gave him a son. But no, God still kept his promise. It
yeah.
just it didn't happen in her timing, right?
Yes.
So she started doubting God, and that baby came at 90 years old. It's not on our timing, it's always God's timing. One thing he's always going to do is keep his promise. So at the end of the day, we have to continue to keep faith. And the purpose of me writing down the podcast, like even writing down your podcast, and I prayed to get brand deals. I've gotten a couple brand deals so far for 2026.
It's awesome.
I wrote all of those things down. Start writing down, not only have a brag book for yourself, but you need to have a brag book or a God did it
Yeah.
book to write down all the things so you can go back and look at God's track record because he's never failed. You say you have no money, but you ate today, right? You say you can't do this, but God showed up. You said that you didn't have no money to, get to work, but for some reason your tank, the tank of gas in your car got you to working back. Even the smallest things, write those things down. So when you get into that, that season where you're like, oh, God's forgotten about me. He's not, he's not going to come through. You can look back at that book and every time he came through, every single time. So I do
Wow.
encourage people to get in your Bible, read the stories. There's so many people in the Bible who have gone through things like us, but also write down that God did it book or won't he do it book, call it whatever you want to call it.
Good.
So you can go back and look at God's track record
That's
for
really
sure.
good.
I know we
Yeah.
just keep going. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm glad.
God, all day.
Yeah, we definitely can do that. No, I think that's good. I think someone needed to hear that. I think I needed to hear that personally because I'm not good about I reflect, but I don't always write it down beforehand. Like it's more
Yeah.
broad, it's not specific. And
Yeah.
I was doing it for a while, and that I'm sure someone needed it, but I actually needed that. So I'm glad you
I
needed that.
appreciate you. I'm trying to be more consistent because I start doubting too. But then I go back, I'm like, okay, I was in a similar situation, but I look back, okay, God, you came through. So you still gonna come through. I just gotta wait patiently on
Yes.
your time. And I made a post yesterday evening on LinkedIn. It was just telling people, that no doesn't mean that you weren't qualified. It just means that it was somebody else's yes. Right, at that moment, the yes that they were praying for. So every time someone gets a yes for a job, there's someone else who's getting let down. It was just that person's yes season. And when you get your job, there's going to be someone else who's let down because that was the yes that you were praying on your
Yeah.
knees and begging God for. So I want people to realize that too. It's just somebody else's yes season and your season's going to come too. God is very intentional about every single one of his children. And we all just have to wait our turn for him to do his thing because he always does.
So good. So powerful. Yeah, I feel like we could keep going, but I know you have
Yeah.
places you need to go.
Yeah.
I will not do that. But
Yeah.
thank
My son is downstairs waiting for me.
yeah, I was like, but thank you so much for making the time. And I know everyone on the show, you got a treat today. Like I know someone needed to hear it, even though it was just one person. But I know it's not just one, that a lot of people needed to hear this message. Thank you for joining me on the show, and everyone, thanks for
Thank you for
listening.
having me.
Absolutely.
Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you here next time. And be incredible. Incredible.